Welcome back to another video, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm doing another mod review, this time on the Super TNT mod. And if that name sounds familiar, that's because this mod actually originally came out around 11-12 years ago for 1.7.2. And then a few years later it got updated to 1.12.2, but it never saw any other updates from there. Well, I am proud to present that I have ported the entire mod to 1.20.1. And this was done in collaboration with the original creator as well as a few other mod developers. All of which you can find on the download page. So, let's see what this mod has to offer. So, there is a total of 62 new TNT that you can use to destroy your world. Most of these were in the 1.12.2 version, but a few of them have been created by us. So, I'm going to start with some of the more tame explosions, and then we're going to get to the serious stuff. So, first up we have Heck TNT. And it basically just turns the overworld into the nether. And in order to add a bit more to that, we're going to do it with Fire TNT. Yeah. If this isn't what you were expecting, then I don't know what you were expecting from Fire TNT. But now, to put out the fire, let's put Ocean TNT. And most of the fire has been extinguished. Let's clear out this ocean using the Sponge TNT. Okay, it's not quite powerful enough to clear an entire ocean, but it can still be helpful because it's way better than just a regular sponge. Let's try out Lava Ocean TNT. And again, as expected. Now let's move away from this chaos and try Snow TNT. As expected, it places snow everywhere. Now this is a very overpowered one. By the way, in case you're wondering, all of the TNT do have recipes. Okay, I think I forgot that this doesn't show up in the recipe book, but you can use a mod like Just Enough Items to view the recipes yourself, because going over all 60 of them is just going to be absolutely horrible. Next up, we have Diamond TNT, and this one is pretty overpowered, because when you ignite it, it turns basically... you get thousands of diamond blocks in it. And then you can make a house and live in it. You do get some basic materials and diamonds that are left over. So you get some obsidian, coal, torches, a bone, and stuff like that. Next up, we're gonna go for a few more. So, we have Bunker TNT, which is very similar to the House TNT, except instead of a cobblestone house, you get an obsidian one with an iron door, and a few more. We get levers and redstone dust. Now, what if you're lonely and you want to spawn in a mob? Well, you can use the Mob TNT. It'll summon in a random mob. Okay, why did you walk into the fire? And yeah, it can be most mobs, obviously not bosses like the Wither or Ender Dragon or stuff like that. But if this is not enough, you can also do Mob Swarm TNT, which will summon a couple of mobs. Yeah, that's a couple. But they are only passive mobs, along with wolves and polar bears. And I'm actually going to turn off subtitles because, yeah, that's annoying. But then if even this is not enough, you can do Atomic Mob Swarm TNT, which will summon a few more mobs. And yeah, this time it summons everything. But if you don't want that, you can use Anti-Mob TNT. And the only survivors are the slimes because they summon in more of them after they die. But we can fix that by just blowing it up multiple times. So, yeah. I'm actually going to bring back a mob swarm so we can showcase the new arrow TNT. It just summons a bunch of arrows that shoot out. Now, what if you're in a plains biome and you want a tree? Well, you can use the tree TNT. And it will summon a tree, as you should probably expect, because I don't know what else you were expecting. And if you want more than one tree, you can summon an entire forest of them. So you can turn a plains biome into a forest biome. So, next up we have the Tiny Island TNT, which, I mean, most of these names should be self-explanatory. It summons a tiny island. So, you get a tree, you get a polar bear for some reason, and you get some ores within this stone area. But what if you want a bigger island? Well, you can use just the island TNT. But this one doesn't summon a preset structure. Instead, what it does is it takes the ground and then copies it into the air, which can be pretty useful for duplicating some blocks. Then we have some Nostalgia TNT, which might not be exactly my generation of nostalgia, but never forget Halo 3. Okay, I forgot that jukeboxes do that. So I just summoned the Is It Christmas TNT, which checks whether it's Christmas, and if it is, then it summons yes blocks and it says that it's Christmas, but if not, it summons no blocks. And as I tried to show in the jukebox, you get the music disc for the Halo 3, and we get an energy sword, which does 12 attack damage, so that can be pretty useful. But there are also a few other things you can get from here, so I'm gonna summon some. You can get a similar thing with Star Wars, and be quiet. And here you can get a lightsaber, which is 15 attack damage and 2 attack speed, so it's a bit more powerful. Besides that, you can also get 3 other possibilities. Okay, that's the same one. Yeah, as you can see, not really my generation of nostalgia because this came out before I was even born, so. And same thing with dial-up. And there's one other, let's see if we're lucky enough to get it. Yes, we are. So yeah, if you're that age, then maybe you felt some nostalgia, but I personally didn't. Next up we have Everything TNT, which, as you should expect, summons basically everything. And all of these chests do have a bunch of items inside them. And most of these items are actually needed to craft the Nostalgia TNT. For example, red solo cups, SNES controller, PS2 compatible keyboard, a floppy disk, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, 64 megabytes of RAM, which is pretty crazy to think about because I have 64 gigabytes of RAM, a Nokia 6600, and you get 3 random TNTs. For example, here we got these ones, and a random quantity. And let me find another chest. And here we got these ones. Next up, we have, what if you want to spruce up your world a little bit? Maybe add some color. You can add Rainbow TNT, which, yeah, turns the entire world into a rainbow. including rainbow-colored grass, rainbow flowers, and a few rainbow bushes, which I don't see. No, there they are. There's one of them. And I lost my flint and steel for some reason. Okay. Then we have some funny ones. For example, the Trump TNT, as you can see by the art on it, it summons a huge wall. And it gives you some shovels and a few ladders. And same thing with Kim Jong TNT. This is all just like how it was in the 1.12.2 version. Yeah. No commentary is needed on that one. So, this one was actually all the way in the original 1.7.2 version. And it basically turns the entire world into poop, including the grass and the plants, and even the water. And this one does the exact same thing, except much bigger. So this one was, I believe, around 40 blocks wide, or 30. This one is like 90 blocks wide. Or no, I mean 180. It was 90 radius. It even reached all the way to this tree. And yeah, it does make poop leaves. But what if you don't want that, and instead you want some cheese? Well, you can get some cheesy TNT.
I love cheese! I love cheese! I love cheese!
Yeah. And just like the other ones, it places the cheese bushes and cheese grass. But what if all of this cheese is way too... I was gonna say way too bumpy, but that just sounds weird. Well, if you need to flatten out something, you can use flat TNT. And as you should expect, it makes everything flat. And now this is the first new one that I created. It is super flat TNT. As you can see, it's only half of a block. And this one is just a stronger version of the flat TNT. It makes it flatter in a bigger area. But if you're underground and you need some space to go mining, you can use mining TNT. This one is very useful because it clears out all of the stone, it places down torches, but it leaves ores, which you can then collect. Now, what if you are creating a farm and you don't feel like working so much? Well, you can use rake TNT, because this one will just do the work for you. It just tills all of the grass around you. And if it was next to water, then it would also start hydrating and not just turning back into dirt. Now, this one can be useful in survival if you can't use commands and you want to turn it to nighttime. You can turn it to nighttime. And you can also do the same thing. If it's nighttime, you can turn it back to daytime. For example, if you want to sleep, but you don't want to reset your spawn point. And weather TNT functions in a similar way. If it's currently clear, it will change it to rain. And if it's currently raining, it will change it back to clear. Although rain might have been useful for the farmland. But if rain isn't enough, you can also go a bit further. By summoning a bunch of lightning. Now, if you ever wanted to, I don't know, maybe add a large ravine into the world, well, maybe not large, but you can do that. It forms a giant crack, which goes all the way down to bedrock. And if your grass is ever too barren, well, you can just use this TNT, and it will place a bunch of sugarcane, flowers, saplings, even dead bushes, which makes it more lively and very messy. Next up we have Fact TNT, which, again, as its name suggests, is just going to give you a random fact. And this is actually a very good one to get as the first one. The Fact TNT is not defective, its facts are wholly accurate and very interesting. So let's see a few more facts. The square root of rope is string. And yeah, you can take your time to read if you want to. But I personally really want to go in a cave. Now, obviously with the new caves and cliffs, finding caves is much easier, but creating your own is also very good. So yeah, you can create your own cave and then go exploring. Maybe you find some ores, or maybe you find lava. And then save TNT is probably the simplest one of all of them. All it does is just save your world. So in case you crash, then you can use this. It will save to the last time you used this TNT. Or the last autosave, which is probably going to be later. Now you can also use wave TNT if you need some water. I did not expect that tree to grow right away. And yeah, this will clear out some of the messy plants, so that's kind of useful. And we kind of made like a waterfall over here. And we only have a few more miscellaneous ones. Now this one is actually a bit destructive, but not too much, so something more exciting. Airborne TNT, it launches a bunch of explosions, and then each of them explodes. Next up we have Jail TNT, which I'm gonna go over this way for a bit. And I'm also gonna turn on... Okay, I did not expect that many mobs to actually exist. Okay. And so yeah, Jail TNT creates a jail and then teleports all nearby mobs, including you, inside it. Now, teleportation TNT is actually kind of similar. It only teleports mobs. It doesn't create a jail, and it doesn't affect you, the player, so you're safe from that one. However, one that you are not safe from is Warp TNT. This one will teleport you to a random location up to 32,000 blocks away. And yeah, I ended up around 20,000 blocks away. Actually, maybe like 25. But this is a good way to reach a new area that hasn't been completely destroyed, so that you can continue destroying it. Or, in case you really, really want diamonds and explosions that look cool, you can use the Atomic Diamond TNT. It basically just shoves a bunch of diamonds right into the air. And the same thing happens with the Atomic Lava Nuke TNT, except obviously it happens with lava. And yeah, it does start flowing, so eventually it's not going to look as cool as that one. But yeah, that's all of the miscellaneous TNT, so now let's actually get to the destructive stuff. So first up, let's see how big large TNT is. And before that, let's actually, for comparison, let's blow up a normal TNT. And then we'll blow up large TNT. So that is how big a normal TNT is. And this is how big large TNT is. Yeah, much bigger. It actually basically ate the entire normal TNT crater. And yeah, it isn't as deep. It only goes... It destroys most things on the surface and low resistance blocks, like dirt or leaves and stuff like that. But if large isn't big enough, which it shouldn't be because that was tiny, you can do massive TNT, which is pretty similar, except, again, much bigger. Again, it doesn't go too deep, but it reaches a pretty fair distance, around like 60 blocks maybe. Or actually, 50 is probably closer. Next up we have Cluster TNT, which not only creates a very fair explosion, it also summons a bunch of TNT after it, which is pretty fun. But obviously that's still not big enough, so let's try the Super TNT of Mass Destruction. Yeah, now this is slowly where the good stuff starts. So, and I did leave this sort of shape, because even though my explosion code fixes it, this shape was requested to be kept because it looks cool. And as you could see, there was no lag, no waiting, everything was instant. And that is how good the code of this mod is. Now, if Cluster TNT wasn't big enough, you could try Super Cluster TNT. So after creating a pretty big explosion, it summons a bunch of Cluster TNTs. And then each of them blow up, and they summon the regular TNT. So now we have some actual destruction happening. But obviously that's not big enough, so let's go to, if you could read it, it barely fits on the screen, but it's Doom TNT, the gold-plated plutonium alloy coated 8-volume nuclear donkey edition. And I did not come up with that name, you can thank the original creator for that. But this TNT is very powerful, and it did reach bedrock, which should be expected with how powerful this mod is. But even that is sometimes not enough. Sometimes you need just a little bit more TNT, which is where Ultra Cluster TNT comes in. This is a new one that was created. Originally there was only Cluster and Super Cluster, but I decided to make Ultra Cluster. And this is the only TNT in the mod that actually lags, because after creating an explosion, it summons 10 Supercluster TNTs. Each of those blow up, and they summon 10 normal clusters. So we have 100 cluster TNT, and then each cluster TNT summons, I believe, 40 normal TNT. Never mind, I think each one summons 200 TNT, because there are 20,000 TNT entities. So yeah, there's not much I can do when there's 20,000 entities in the world. But luckily the lag only lasts for a few seconds, and then afterwards everything's fine. But yeah, now we're getting into stuff that really tears into your world. And that's the contrast between a mostly circular explosion and then just a chaotic, destructive one. But from now on, we're gonna have to start getting further away, because next up we have the Biome Buster. Now this one isn't meant for digging huge craters or stuff like that. It's meant to make a whole biome uninhabitable. It completely wrecks the entire surface and places fire everywhere. So yeah, the world will never be the same again. As you can see, it even destroyed the water. But I think the time for playing is over. It's time to get to the real serious stuff. We have one to rule them all, the TNT to end all TNTs. This was in the original, but it wasn't actually that much bigger than the previous one, the Doom TNT, which is why in this version I made it just a little bit bigger. yeah, a little bit maybe an understatement. It's around 5 times bigger than it is in 1.12.2. It is over 600 blocks wide. And obviously, it will reach bedrock. So, and I do really like the shape, which I made using a very weird formula. And on a deeper world, you can actually see the shape in a bit better way. So I do recommend doing that. But even that is not enough. Because after it, we have a new one that was also created by me. The True Ruler TNT. This one is so big that it puts the TNT to end all TNTs to shame. This one was not in the original because, well, you'll see. Pretty big. It still reached this crater. I thought we were far enough. So yeah, this one is a huge cylinder. It is 750 blocks wide. And as you could see, it was instant, regardless of that size. So yeah, even if you have a potato PC, you can still run all of the explosions in this mod, maybe except the Ultra Cluster, without any issue. But again, this is not big enough. We need even bigger. And that's where our next TNT comes into play. This one is the Black Hole TNT. Even the True Ruler bows before this one. This one was also in the original, but I made it a little bit bigger. And the reason we added the True Ruler in between was because the gap from the end TNT to Black Hole was just huge. Like, the size difference was insane. So this helped smooth things out. But as you could see, Black Hole just destroyed everything. And originally in 1.12.2 it is 1000 blocks wide, but in 1.20 it is 1600 blocks wide. And it is a cuboid because that's how it was in the original. So yeah, as you can see, everything is completely vaporized because the code doesn't actually destroy the entire crater at once. It instead only destroys the chunks that are already loaded. And then when you go to load new chunks, that's when it just destroys them as they get loaded, which helps performance by a lot. But even this is not big enough, because the next one is the anti-dimensional singularity. I may have forgotten to put TNT at the end of its name. Whoops. But yeah, this one is similar in size to the original. The main difference is that a black hole, well, actually, True Ruler and all of these above are 384 blocks high, because that is the height of a vanilla Minecraft world after the Caves and Cliffs update. But originally, the worlds were 256, which is why Black Hole and the two above it were also 256 blocks wide. So to compensate, I made Anti-Dimensional Singularity and the next one a little bit less wide, but extended it to 384 high so that the total volume stays within a few percent. So Anti-Dimensional Singularity in 1.12.2 was 5,000 blocks wide. However, here it is 4,096 blocks wide. So this should reach until block 12,000 in the x-axis. Almost there. And we should be near the end. It is 4,096 in total blocks wide. So anything, if you blow this up, you're probably going to blow up every part of the world that you have explored. If you stay within spawn chunks a lot, this is probably just gonna destroy everything. And like most Minecraft maps are also within this distance, so there's pretty much no need for anything beyond it. But the original creator said, hey, why not go even further? And I agree. Next up, we have no TNT. This one is so big, it will crash real life. And as you could expect, no TNT is twice as wide as anti-dimensional singularity. So in 1.12.2, it was 10,000 blocks wide, but here it is 8,192 blocks wide. And I do not have the patience to actually fly that much, so I'm just gonna go here and teleport myself 4,000 blocks in order to reach the edge. And this is where the creator, the original creator, stopped because, well, the code that he used it didn't allow him to make anything bigger because it just used up so much RAM. For example, blowing up no TNT in a normal world, I believe, requires 32 gigabytes minimum of allocated. But with this code, we don't have that restriction, which is why we decided to go even further. What comes after no TNT? Never TNT. Now, this is not the final version. The final version will be coming in a future update. This version of Never TNT, well, it was just a placeholder while we were deciding how big to make it. But if we blow it up, I want you to take a guess at how wide it is. Again, instant, so how wide do you think it is? Is it maybe double in size again? Maybe to 16,000 blocks wide? No, it is 4 times as wide. It is 32,000 blocks wide. So I need to teleport 16,000 blocks wide away in order to reach the end. There is no need to ever blow this up in any situation, but it's fun. So why not make something ridiculous? And yeah, keep in mind, this is just the placeholder size. In reality, it's actually going to be a little bit bigger than this. And I'll let you speculate how big I'm going to make it. So, if you're looking for a TNT mod, which either does something miscellaneous that you want, or if you're looking for absolute destruction with no lag, no crashes, Super TNT is the mod for you. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!